So what were you like in high school? I don't want to curse, but were you like a B word? Were you like a sporty sport? Were you like a girly girl? Were you a regular degular? Were you like a me with sweats?
Oh gosh, I don't know if I had a pigeonhole kind of thing. I didn't hang around cisgender girls. I hung around other trans girls that I was with.
You had a community like that in high school?
If you consider two people a community, sure.
Okay.
I had a gay male friend and a trans woman.
Okay.
And we all kind of grew up together from like junior high school.
Okay.
And so I didn't have I wasn't one of them people that, I have a bunch of, cisgender girlfriends. I wasn't one of them because I learned early on that y'all can be treacherous.
That's fine.
So, I try to stay clear, but then, as I became like a junior and senior, I did become friends with my friend named Tracy Garrett. She was a popular girl, and she kind of proved herself to be like a real loyal friend for consistently, even to this day.
About a bitch.
Yeah, one. So, I kind of stayed to myself. I wasn't quiet, but I also wasn't loud. I was kind of like, I was only popular because of what I was. It wasn't because I was, I did nerdy stuff. I was in the music. I was in the drama. I was in the biology, science, stuff like that. So I think if I was somebody else, I would be just like a nerd person, but a blurred. but because I was trans and there was no, because even the other trans girl, she wasn't really in it full time. She was in and out. I was the full time person. Yeah, yeah. So me, it was a full time thing for me. So I became popular because of that. Like even other schools knew about me.
In high school, were you doing anything towards your transition?
Oh yeah, I got on hormones when I was 16.
So how was that conversation with mom and pops?
Okay, well that's a unique situation because I didn't live with my mom and pops. I lived in a group home.
Okay.
My mom was caught up in the prison industrial complex, so she was caught up in the crack epidemic.
Okay, I didn't want you to say nothing crazy.
What did you say?
You comfortable. Okay. Yeah. You wild comfortable. She could have said some government. I didn't want you to say nothing wild.
No, she got caught up in the crack epidemic.
Okay.
She got caught up in the prison industrial complex, so she went to prison and I went to a group home.
Oh.
And my grandmother didn't accept my transness, so I couldn't come stay with her, so I had to go into a group home.
Shame on you, Grandma.
She's
if
dead.
You're still here.
She's dead now.
Where you at? I hope God's talking to you.
I didn't come to her funeral, so I don't care.
So you was the person on the phone like, who did the body? Was that you?
No, I didn't ask any questions. I didn't come. We weren't, like, we mutually was not friends. We mutually didn't.
So you weren't friends with her and she wasn't friends with you?
Yeah. It was, everybody else would be like, oh, yeah, family. Me and my grandmother would be like, we don't like each other. We cool. Like, and it might be because we had similar personalities.
Yes.
And that why
it
was
like
sign?
That. Are y'all
no, we weren't the same. She was an Aries. I was a Pisces. But we understood that I think even if, let me give you an example. So when I'm way older than you, but she got me this teddy bear it was the Elmo of our time.
Okay, so I had Elmo.
So it was the Elmo. You know when people stand in line for Elmo?
I had two. Shout out to moms.
Yes. So ours was called the Teddy Ruxpin.
Okay.
Right. So it was a Teddy Ruxpin. Yes. And so she bought it for me. Okay. And it had a battery in the back, and its mouth would move like this. It was a mechanical mouth. Okay. Me being a 5-year-old, I was like, oh my God, why is this moving? And I broke it. And she just gave it to me. And a woman just cussing a 5-year-old out about breaking the mouth of a teddy bear. And literally, she didn't buy me any more gifts after that. And so...
Yo, Grandma was wild.
Yeah. Grandma, she was just a mean person. But everybody knows she was mean. Okay. It wasn't just me. It's just her personality.
It's okay.
And so...
It's not okay, but...
So once I transitioned, it just exacerbated the situation. And so I just stayed out of her face, and she stayed out of mine. One of the rules that I always tell people, and like told my grandmother, I said, you don't have to accept who I am. Same thing I tell my family members. You don't have to accept who I am, but you will respect me. You don't have to accept it, but you will respect me.
I like
and if you can't accept it and can't respect me, I just stay out of your life. So I never come over her house. I never. You see what I'm saying? I never forced.
Never forced yourself
on anybody's situation. So anyway, I didn't have to explain myself to my parents or to my mom because.
So in your setting of home, was there someone who you had to maybe ask permission for? No. So you was grown?
I got emancipated when I was 17. I had my own apartment when I was, really 16.
I'm fascinated by those stories. You wasn't scared?
But you have no choice. Like, what do you do? I mean, you have no choice.
I'm always like, you wasn't like nervous? I'd be under the window like.
But you make it work. I mean, you got to make it work. It's like, think about if you were 16. What do you do? I
was a baby at 16. I feel like I'm a baby now. I could, no ma'am.
Yeah, I had a job. I worked at Rallies, and my rent, this is going to tell my age too, my rent was $315 for
I've been trying to apartment. Scratch off like what age I think you are. I ain't going to ask, but I'm getting close.
Black trans women average don't live past 30, 35. I am 38, so I'm proud of my age. I'm not proud. I'm not ashamed of my age. I'm proud of my age.
No, most women don't ask. But I still be like...
I'm 38. Yes, I'm proud of it.
You don't look 38.
Well, thank you.
That's why I was like, okay, I thought, but then, no, but she lived then, but then she graduated then.
Yes. Okay. I graduated in 1999, high school. So
at 15, you started hormones?
Yes, I lied to the doctor and said that I was not.
But she grown. She lied to the doctors. What's up, Emma?
If I can have my own apartment and be paying rent, I can lie to you and tell you I can get my hormones.
So I know hormone blockers are what younger people take to stop, I guess, puberty?
Yeah.
And then hormones are what you take to push the balance from predominantly testosterone to estrogen.
Yes, because everybody...
They have some, but you just have to offset the...
Yes, you have to balance it out to make it the levels of whatever you're going to.
So how did you take hormones?
I took a pill a day. That's what he prescribed to me.
Oh, I thought y'all was getting shots. I thought that's what...
That came later, but at the time, he was like, I'm going to start you off with a pill.
Okay.
You know, it's a little bit more advanced now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. I thought it was... But what were the first changes that you've seen in your body that made you go like, okay, I'm liking this, yes?
It's gonna be the same exact changes that you went through, other than like bottom down there. But like, you know, like when your breast started growing, they kind of got itchy a little bit. Lord. That it's the same. It's the same exact thing.
I'm not a boob girl. This is the biggest they've been, but that's because this is the biggest I've been. This is not. If it was a perfect world, I'd be like, what was I when I played sports? An A cup. Excuse me.
But yeah, you know, they'll start being itchy. Like your nipples will get sensitive. So was that a moment for you to go buy a bra? No, I had already bought a bra. I had already done that. I was already stuffing. You just trying to transitioned when I was 13. Okay, but you just trying to skip everything. Well, I was trying to make it work. Yes. So I had a bra, and before I had breasts, I was stealing from Victoria's Secret those little silicone things. I know some people who still steal from Victoria's Secret. Relax. I would take them out. I wouldn't even take the box. I would just take them out and put them in there and walk. Oh, I know some people that's bold. Relax. My sister needs some. I'm going to call you when I call you, but relax. But I was stealing from my friends. Because I had trans friends. So we would go in there and get stuff, and that's how it worked. So that was high school. Get stuff is a week. That was high school, yeah. So that was high school, and that was home. What was your religious foundation? My religious foundation was apostolic, Pentecostal, Kojic type stuff. Yeah, where the girls wore jean dresses and didn't wear no makeup. That. I know somebody else who That's where you grew up?
No,
Oh.
I'm pointing to people.
Oh.
They're supposed to wear skirts every day. I see you in the pants.
That kind of stuff. So I grew up in that kind of environment.
Mm-hmm.
But, you know.
So did religion or religious or Christianity, did that affect you in your mental process of transitioning?
Not transitioning. I had already left religion by the time I transitioned.
What was the breaking point, if you don't mind me asking?
Dude, I'm open. How open do you want me to be? You don't you seem like the one that be like, no, don't say that. I'm open. How open do you want me to be?
You know what? This is a series about genuine conversations. Let's be genuine for a second. As open as you are comfortable with. I am
open as hell.
We rolling out the door. Let's go.
Okay, cool. So my mother, I grew up in a home that was a mixture of Christianity and like hoodoo, root work kind of stuff. My mother isn't particularly religious, but my aunt
You got people from Louisiana?
Louisiana, Mississippi, all that kind of stuff.
That's
the roots of who I am.
I'm from New Orleans, so hang on.
So my aunt was almost trying to be the super Christian and save me from this heathen household. So she was like, I'm going to bring you to church with me.
Is your aunt still with us?
No, she has passed away.
So.
But she's really sweet. It's just she got saved, and so she was trying to save
everybody else.
Yeah, and she wasn't rude or any.
You know, lifeguard Christian gotta relax, okay?
But no, she wasn't rude. I was just young. I was like about 7, yeah. Mm-hmm. And so she felt like my mother was going to raise me without church. And so my mother was like, if my child wants to go, then sure.
Yeah.
It was no pressure.
How it should be.
And so she brought, and then I was a queer little child, so they thought having male figures that were in the church would be a great...
to pull you out of that.
To pull me out of this femininity. Mm-hmm. So... And at the time, I didn't have any concepts of that stuff, so I went and I loved church. It was a social setting that was really fun for me. I was a studious person that loved to read, and so when they had me get up during Sunday school or during choir or during whatever and be able to read, I was very articulate. And so it gave me a certain kind of admiration that they would give me because I could speak well.
Something to take pride in.
And so I was like, oh, I like doing this. And so, but I could tell that they were trying to feminize. I mean, they were trying to masculinize me. Mm-hmm. And so they would have me, like they wanted me to go to this boys camp, this church boys camp, and we would do all this typical stuff. It was funny because they wanted me to do all this typical stuff that boys do. So we went fishing, we went swimming, we went camping, and we went shooting guns.
Okay.
And so all this stuff is supposed to be masculine stuff. Man stuff.
So were you like out there like, okay, I'm going to shoot this gun, but he cute, so...
So at that time, I wasn't sexual.
Okay.
Like I was 9, 10, 8. So I wasn't thinking... of course, I was thinking... I saw somebody who was cute, but
yeah, but it wasn't
older.
like... Oh.
Yeah, it was this guy. So this guy named Dion, he was... You can tell he was just blossoming into his patriarchy. He was like the alpha male. He was like 18.
Was he Caucasian?
No. Okay. I didn't get around white people until I got older. It was nothing but black people around me. Okay. So he was black, and we went to a black church. We went to the kind of shouting churches. Mm-hmm. So he was the one, he was the dude, he was the teenage boy that all the deacons and the preachers kind of praised because he just fit that masculine bill, played football.
Could have been the quarterback.
Yes, he was fine as hell. And they loved him. Like he could do little stuff. Like he could go in the church kitchen and get extra food. Aww. He could do stuff because he fit this perfect specimen of a boy. But he was like 18, 19. So when I was 7, 8, 9, of course I looked at him like, oh my God, he's so cute. But I didn't
process it to that extent.
Not as sexual at all. I didn't have sex till I was 16.
When you were trying to be grown?
Yeah, I was grown.
I had my own place. Get your own apartment?
I had my own place.
You think you're grown. That's what happens. Apartments lead to sex.
So, no, I wasn't damn. Anyway. So, when we went out into this boys' camp where they wanted us to do all the masculine stuff, fishing, swimming, shooting guns, what they didn't know is I was raised by Mississippi women that fished, that shot guns, I knew how to do all of that stuff. That wasn't masculine to me. That women did stuff that fish. That swimming. I went into this boys' camp. I could swim better than all of them. I could shoot better than all of them.
So you were showing them stuff.
I'm like they thought I was gonna be all.
Come help me. I'm doing something. Like, no.
Let me show you how to do this. And I still was feminine. And still shot better than the boys. And so caught more fish. Like I did everything that they thought was going to be this masculine. I did it exceptionally. And I still was feminine. You still didn't fix the...
What you figured was... the
twang. And so we left there and I told my aunt... there was one time that the preacher did... the pastor did this sermon, Fire and Brimstone sermon, Sodom and Gomorrah, preaching about all gays is going to hell, and that's right, that's wrong. I mean, that's wrong, and you're going to go to hell, and if you do this, da-da-da-da-da-da. So me being a 8, 7, 8, 9, 10-year-old, hearing this, and being invested in the church as I did, I was scared of it. And so...
The Bible is scary.
I told my aunt, I was like, I do know that I like boys. Like, I didn't think of it in a sexual way. I just thought, I do like boys. I do like them in a romantic way. I knew it was not sexual yet, but it wasn't like, oh, this is my best friend. It was
no, it was like,
I want to kiss him.
I want a boyfriend. Okay.
I want to kiss him, but I didn't know sex. I didn't know anything about it.
You were just saying it.
Yeah, I knew it was romantic, but I didn't have the idea of sex yet.
Yeah.
I hadn't.
It was just, he's cute, let's kiss.
He's cute, I want to kiss him, yes. That.
What kids think sex is.
Yeah, so that's what it was. So then when he said that it was wrong, I was like, ooh. And so I would pray about it. I would tell my aunt about it. And my aunt said, well, I'm going to set you up with the pastor to do some, like, counseling or whatever.
Yeah, I think they do that in their office or...
Office, yeah, that kind of stuff. So, in that process, in that time, I went to one of the counseling sessions. And to make a long story short, while I was telling the pastor stuff that I was doing that was like kissing boys, apparently something in my spirit told me to stand up, and he was masturbating while I was telling him what was going on. I ran out the door, ran to find my aunt, and told my aunt what happened. And my aunt took me out into the church van and held me, and we cried. And she said, you can't tell anybody.
Girl!
She said, you can't tell anybody. In that moment, I do believe my aunt believed me.
Yes.
But this is a pastor who was all over the radio, was really popular in the city. And so she basically said, just keep this to ourselves and you don't have to come back here no more. And I didn't. I didn't have to come back there no more.
Okay.
And so I didn't tell my mother because my mother would have been a whole different situation. I just made a very, very conscious decision to not tell her at all. And then it just was a secret that me and my aunt kept. But she didn't force me to go back to church ever again. And her attendance in that church kind of dwindled. But for me, in that moment, I just saw this whole act that they were doing as a facade. It just became fake. It became a source of anger for me. It became a source of back then. I just wasn't fucking with religion like that. I wasn't.
Okay.
And you know,
y'all not cool.
We just not cool. But and so it was a source of anger. But then as I got older and I realized how blessed my life, despite all the things everybody said. Because understand that if I was to go by what saints said about me, I would be dead. I would have AIDS. I would have nothing. Like I would have nothing. But people who I deemed as spiritual, who had unconditional love, who to me who had the real love of God and Christ in them, they spoke like blessings on my life. And so and told me that I had divinity inside of me already, and I didn't need to don't listen to other folks. And so as my life went on, it just became like a plethora of like blessings and a plethora of me being in spaces that even Christian folks couldn't go into, and I'm able to help people. And so it just changed my spiritual level with the Creator. I don't believe in, the Christian God, but that was the foundation. I needed to go through that in order to make where I'm at now in my spiritual life make sense, and it just changed who I was. It just changed what I do, how I practice now. My spirituality is so affirming and makes me love people and makes me love myself, and I couldn't get that under the governance of a religion that I think is rooted in white supremacy, is rooted in patriarchy, is rooted in these kind of rules that I think harm us. So and does that work for other people? Great. Yeah, that's good. It can work for other people, but for me, I couldn't be who I am in that space and it be a loving, healthy space. So I need to go and find God in another place, and that's what I did. And so now I love me, I love the world, I love the divinity in me. Okay. So that's my religious foundation.
So maybe you would consider yourself more spiritual than religious.
I practice a African tradition, Ifa. So it's a whole.
I'm gonna have to Google that. Ifa. How do you spell that?
IFA.
I need to Google.
Yeah, I'm a child of Ogun for the people who know.
You see y'all?
If y'all know.
I want to know now. I'm curious.
You gotta look into it.
I would definitely will.
So, did y'all watch Beyonce's?
Yes, we watched Lemonade.
Yeah.
Teach us.
When she the yellow gown when she
walked through the water.
That's Oshun, and so that deity is one of the deities in our religion.
Oh, okay. Because she mentioned them again in the gift when she goes,
absolutely.
"I am so and so. I am Queen Sheba. I am the."
Yeah.
Don't make me ruin it, Beyonce. I love you. Sorry, I mess it up.
That she was representing one of the pantheon, one of the deities.
I was told she paid a lot of tribute. This isn't a Beyonce moment, although I was told that she paid a lot of tribute to African roots in that. And I thought I just seen Louisiana. I just seen Creole all over it, from the environment to the water to the symbolism. But somebody was like, girl, it's a whole, dig a little deeper, okay? And I'm like, I didn't. Okay.
But even that stuff is the roots go to Louisiana.
Yeah.
Like all of that, that's just.
It's intertwined.
Yeah, it's all intertwined. And,
okay.
Metamorphed into something else. But yeah, like when she was in the cowboy shows, that's yeah, we are.
That's what I'm saying. Like this stuff, I've seen these things walking around the world, but I couldn't place it.
Yeah.
Okay, so
a lot of history.
We've covered your religious foundation.
High school.
We've covered high school. We've jumped around junior high from you being grown. So now you're grown. I don't like people get grown too early. I got a little. But now you're grown. What happens post high school?
So I moved to Mississippi. So I get fired from my job. Before I moved to Mississippi, I get fired from my job for being trans. Remember I told you I worked at Rally's.
He was eating the fries?
No. My register was short $2. I had $2. I got
that in my pocket.
Change in the
car, wherever.
Wherever. I could have gave her that, but I think they just were trying to fire me. And so
looking for a reason.
Looking for a reason in my drawer. I came up $2 short, and that was the reason she gave. But I didn't tell them that I was trans, and when they found out, they were trying to let me go.
So what did your ID say at the time?
It said F.
Okay. So why would they? If that's what the government let me tell you, that's what it is. Why is that an issue?
That was a scheme.
Are you grown?
I was trying to make it work. I put an F, they put an F. Thank you. They they weren't paying attention. A lot of people don't pay attention to stuff
They just
like that.
Stamp, slide your own through.
Yeah.
Okay. So you get
And then I have a very gender neutral name. My birth name was a very gender neutral name.
What was your birth name, if you don't mind?
Oh, we don't talk about that.
Okay, that's fine. That's cool, Miss Diamond. Okay, that's all we need to know. So you get let go from rallies because of some BS.
Yeah, some bullshit.
Y'all fries good, but they ain't that good.
That's
then where where do you go from there?
So because I lost my job,
Mm-hmm.
eventually I lost my apartment because
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't find another one, and so I had to move. My mother had got out of prison, and I had to move back down. I moved to Mississippi with her in Mississippi. So I went to Walnut Grove, Mississippi. It is a rural country small town in Mississippi, and it was a culture shock. And so that's a whole other story, but long ass story. But in order for me to get out of that country ass town, I needed to go to college, and that was in Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
And I was the first transgender woman to go to Jackson, Mississippi.
Okay.
Not to Jackson, Mississippi, to Jackson State University.
Okay.
Yeah, Jackson State University.
Was it the Jaguars?
The Tigers.
Tigers. Okay.
Yes.
I knew it was a cat. I just didn't know which
Yes.
one. Sorry,
Yes.
because I know some people that graduated from there. Relax.
Yes, and I went there from. I started in 2000.
Did you graduate on time?
No, I didn't. My mother went to prison, and I got custody of my brother.
Oh, so you had to take care of...
She went to prison for the second time. My mama a good mama, though. I know this sounds bad, but she was loving.
You sure?
Like I said, she got caught up in the crack epidemic, and she got caught up in the prison industrial complex. You know, she was one of those super predators that Hillary was talking about. You know, that her husband put out the 3 strikes rule.
That Biden wrote
Yeah.
and Bernie voted for.
Yes.
That's y'all homies.
Yeah. Yes. So those type of things. My mother was one of the disproportionate, you know, it affects black women and men disproportionately. So she was one of those people that it affected. And so they didn't care about her children. They didn't care about getting, you know, now we talk about the opioid crisis, and we're like, oh, these people
They need rehab.
resources and help.
We gotta
do
sell
something
Narcan.
about it. But when my mother was dealing with her crisis,
That
with
nigga over there can die. And that's unfortunate.
Let's put him in jail. Let's do that. So
That's
my mother was
unfortunate.
one of the people that were negatively, instead of getting her help, she was negatively affected by the systems that were oppressing her. So when I was younger, I was angry at my mother. But now that I'm older and I understand the systems and what she was going through, you know, I have forgiven her, and you know, she's still going through her situation even today, but
Oh, she's with us. Yay, mom.
yeah, she's still with us. My mom was a teen mom, so we're not far from age.
Yay, mom.
Yes.
How you doing? Okay, so you're at Jackson State.
Yes.
How was that experience for you? Because you said you didn't graduate on time. So
No.
you was a single mom to your little sibling.
So when I was a junior is when she went to prison.
Okay.
And so I had to drop
late?
out.
You was
Yeah,
right
I
there.
was right there.
Okay.
I was right there. But during the time, it was bittersweet. Like, it was some great things that were going on. I loved the experience, but it was some bad things that was going on too. As the first trans person to be on campus, it ranged from people trying to throw boiling hot water on me to people like throwing stuff at me. Like when I would be walking on campus, they would be like throwing oranges, like shit like that. I would come into the cafeteria and people would move from where I'm sitting, and you would think that this would just be men or something, but this would be men, gay men, black women. It's something about, for some reason, there was a lot of people who, it was totally different. Usually when I was younger, like cis girls and gay men, they were kind of allies. They were like cool. But when I got to college, even them were being shady. Not every single one.
No, but I mean, it was
a lot of them. Because in Mississippi, a lot of dudes was, even the ones that were like flaming gay would say they weren't gay. Which is kind of strange. But
you ain't gotta lie,
but they would be like the
hey girl,
that kind of gay, not the kind of down low masculine gay. I'm talking about the ones that you like.
Duh.
And they be like, oh my God. And then at nighttime, I was a RA. I was a resident assistant.
Were you a mean RA?
Yeah, I was mean. Well, I was an RA of a boys' dorm, and most of these motherfuckers, these are the same motherfuckers that were trying to throw water on me. So, so
I respect.
I would take forever to come lock your door. I'm that person.
Because it was me that was at 3 a.m. Okay, I'm so sorry. It ain't gonna happen again this week. Just, I'm sleepy.
Yeah, it gave it was a strange situation, and there was a lot of negativity. I got in fights.
Did you win?
Of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
You said that so confident, like duh.
Yeah. It just was a circumstance that was. I didn't know how bad it was gonna be until I was already in it, and there were some great things too. I did eventually get a community, and eventually it got old. You know, when I was my freshman year was the worst of the time.
Yeah.
But
and then you were a baby your freshman year too.
Yeah, I was 19. Yeah. And so I remember, this is how crazy it was. So when I first went into my dorm, you know, you have a roommate. As soon as he saw who I was, he left. So I never had a roommate the whole time I was there. Was funny, a month ago, his wife hits me up on Facebook. And
goes down on the book.
Tells me all that he has told her. And she apologizes, and she basically gives me a story about how, because he never was mean to me. Okay. But he moved out, and I was like, oh, of course.
Wasn't really nice sounding either.
He was nice, yeah. But think about, you are in a room with a trans person. The first year that first one ever there, think about how the dudes would have treated him.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? He just couldn't do it. That's what I thought. But come to find out, he thought that this was our first day. He said he thought that it was going to be a co-ed dorm. He didn't even realize that I was trans. And he called his parents. And his parents said, oh, no. You need to get up out of there. You need a boy. Yeah. And so he moved out and went into a whole nother dorm.
Okay.
And so I thought it was about me.
Yeah.
But his parents had told him to move out because he thought that it was going to be. He didn't find out I was trans until like a month later. But that was when everybody found out. So people had heard about it, but because I didn't to them look trans, it took a while for people to put a face to who the trans person was.
So it was a rumor that there was a trans person
in the boys' dorm. Because I remember sitting on a bench and these girls talking about the trans person in the dorm. They didn't even know it was me. And
all of a sudden your book got extra long. Now you gotta read a little more.
Yeah, like
you drop a little. Now you want to lean.
And they were sitting talking about me, and it was situations like that. And then eventually, it took like a month where everybody could put the face to me, and then that's when like the negativity started. It was just really strange. It was just a really strange moment, but there were some good things. Like I really loved a lot of the people that I met there. And my experiences.
If you could go and talk to the president or the dean of Jackson State and give them advice on implementing a program for more inclusivity, what would you say?
Gosh,
something that would have made you feel more safe.
Well, first of all, they weren't acknowledging my transness. So they didn't even give me the option to be in the girls' dorm. Not that I would have took that option. Because there are some benefits living in the boys' dorm.
I bet. Quarterback up the hall, the basketball captain down this way.
And if you want company,
you just come to the third floor.
Yes, and they can come in without having to sneak in. If I was in a girls' dorm, I would not have had the amazing, wonderful experiences with boys that I had. Let me tell you, I remember
being grown,
being extra grown, and I would come into my room, and there would be letters, notes. Like some of them would be actual on a note, some of them be a torn out piece of paper. They'll be on a postcard. It'll be on a textbook sheet, and it'll range from "damn, can you suck my dick" to to, damn, you so beautiful today. You look so good today. I wish they wasn't treating you like that. It would range from being so sweet to so raunchy and nasty. And I would come in and on the floor, like open their door, and they would have slid it under.
Why do I feel like you read some of them a little bit more than the others?
I did. They would put their numbers. They would
have phones in your dorms, like the
Jack
to call.
And it's connected to your room, so anybody could find out your number. All they needed was your room number, and because it was the last digit. Everybody's number was the same except for the last digits, based on the number of your room.
Mm-hmm. That's how our school was.
We
didn't have phones, but that's
so
what they told us.
I would get calls all night. And, ooh, can I come down there? Don't tell nobody.
Well,
sneaky ass shit like that.
But you sound like you had a lot more fun in college than me.
I did have fun. I did kind of quite a lot of fun. It all worked out. It all worked out in a kind of a good way. I remember there was a rumor about the captain of the football team at the time.
Of the college?
It was a rumor,
You just
but
have
we
a
never.
type.
No. We never messed around. It was just everybody would say anybody who was cute. They would say that they messed around with me.
You was pulling the finest ones on the finest ones.
I was, but this particular one, I was not.
Okay.
I didn't mess with him my freshman year at all. But the rumor started in my
freshman year.
The rumor started my freshman year that we had messed around, and I was like, we didn't even mess around.
Yeah.
But then it got so bad that by my junior year, he was like, I might as well do it. Everybody think I did it.
So, I mean, what are you doing?
Yeah, we had caught each other like one late night.
Was it drunken or was it just...
No, it wasn't drunken. I don't at that time,
it was just
like that. It was, I'm coming from someplace and it's at night and he's coming from someplace and he sees me, I see him, and I'm like, hi. And he was like, what's up, what room you in? And I said it.
And he came.
And he explained that.
And then he came.
And then he explained that, you know.
Okay.
Everybody said I did it, so I might as well do it. So I had some great times in college. It was some really great times. And
that's the thing. When people... It's always when people are in a relationship and like, you cheating on me with so-and-so and so-and-so. I'm like, I wouldn't even... But now that you done said it, you know, they do look kind of fine. Mm-hmm. I mean, you know, that's because you put that on the radar.
Yeah. And I think it had gotten so big that he just was like... Even if, like, maybe he wasn't curious, but even if it was curious, I've already had the damage of what I thought.
Yeah, so I might
so a dude thinking I'm fearful of people finding this out, people already think it happened, so I might as well do it.
So it was the quarterback in high school and the quarterback in college? So, okay.
And others. I was, these was my whole days. They haven't stopped, but I'm just...
Okay, so what is your life like post-college?
So post-collage is actually when, you gotta put your big girl's panties on. I dropped out my junior year because I got custody of my brother. So I got a job to take care of him, and I was in my place, and I ended up getting fired from my job for being trans again.
Okay.
So this is when we talk about oppression and when we talk about different circumstances. As a trans person, that's what was going on. So I was trying to live this upstanding, regular life. I was trying to get a job. I was trying to work. I was trying to do the regular stuff.
Yeah.
But every time I would get a job, they would fire me for being trans. And because I live in states, at that time, Indianapolis, and right now, Texas, I live in states where we are now protected under the discrimination law. And so it's an at-will state where they can just fire us for no reason. And so we don't have the legal recourse to be able to do what we need to do to protect ourselves.
So what does that protection look like under the discrimination law?
It's nothing. Right now, it's nothing.
Yeah, so
like if you're in California or New York, you can actually sue for discrimination and be protected in regards to that.
Okay.
But in Texas, not at all. In Indiana, not at all. And so there was no legal recourse that I could do to be able to sue somebody, even though they directly told me. So like the guy at my particular job there, I worked at Hewlett Packard, and it was an assembly line where we assembled computers. And so people were harassing me, like doing little things, like little stupid stuff. Like one of the guys lost his keys, and they gave me the keys to give back to him that he lost, and I don't know what's going on. They just, oh, give this to him. Okay. So I was like, oh, here. And while I'm giving him the keys, they taking pictures of us as if we're doing something. Like really weird ass childish high school that shit. And so it got to the point where it just escalated to something crazy where multiple people were doing it, and it started to be a problem at work. I didn't complain about it. Other people complained about it. Okay. So they brought us all in the office, and it was like 5 people, and they all were admitting that I had literally nothing to do with it. Okay. I just was the entity, the entity that they were trying to bother or trying to use me as the joke.
There we go. Okay.
And so I'm sitting there like, I really don't know what's going on because it has literally nothing to do with me.
There we go.
And so he reprimanded them, chastised them verbally, and was like, hey, y'all need to grow the fuck up, blah, 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 blah.
Okay.
Sent them all out the room. He said, you stay. He sat me down and said, this is a peculiar situation that I'm in.
Okay. I'm trying to put myself in your shoes.
And I'm sitting there like, okay. In my mind, I'm like, I didn't do anything, and they literally just said that I didn't do anything.
Yeah, so I should be.
So it's no kind of,
okay.
You know, I'm like, I don't know what's going on. He tells me literally, verbatim is, it would be easier for me to get rid of you than to get rid of those 5 people. Because I can replace you with one person, I would have to replace 5 people, and they're all good workers.
I'm mad that I see his point. Like, I'm mad.
It's logical.
Yeah.
Is it fair?
No. But I'm mad that he found a way to make sense of that.
Yes. And so he tells me, if something else happens, understand that I don't have any problem with you, but I'm going to have to get rid of you. Okay. So, something else happened.
Of course.
That had nothing to do with me.
As always.
And they got rid of me. And so at that time, I was in a struggling position. I had custody of my brother. My mom was in prison the second time. And, you know, I'm taking care of my brother. So that's what led me into being a sex worker. Okay. It led me into the business. And at the time, it was the easiest money. And, you know, my circumstances led me into that. Okay. Because it was way more secure. Nobody could fire me.
That's what I was about to say.
And it was way better money.
You're your own boss.
Your own boss. And it was way better money.
And I got to
travel. And I got to travel. Because people would fly you out. You would fly yourself out.
That is true.
It was much more glamorous. It was much more money. It was a whole different thing.
So while maybe you got flown out for a few days, where was your brother?
Now, my brother was old enough to take care of himself.
Okay, so
eventually, so the first year I had the job, the first 6 months I had the job, and he was like 12. Okay. And then year after that, I was escorting out of the house for like a year. Mm-hmm. So by the time I started traveling, he was 13. He was old enough to take care of himself.
Microwave.
Yeah.
Don't touch this. You good.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he was a great student. So I didn't, you know, he wasn't somebody that had to
hover and make
sure. Yeah, hover and make sure.
No,
yeah,
he took care of his. That's good.
He wasn't getting in trouble. The grades were great, and you know, I could travel and come back and travel and come back. And initially I wouldn't be traveling far away.
No, but I mean, you know, it grows, and as you get more comfortable, you get. So, was your safety ever jeopardized when you were doing sex work?
Yes, absolutely.
Any story in particular you want to expound on? I mean to say.
I had to shoot somebody.
Okay, we're not going there.
I mean, this you know, that's what happened.
I don't want you to go to jail. I like you.
No, it was in self-defense, but yeah, they were trying to rob me.
Oh.
And eventually.
I'm mad. I said, "Oh, like that's okay." Like no.
They were trying to rob me, and eventually the tables turned, and I shot him.
Okay. Did you keep that on you to protect yourself from there forward?
Keep a gun?
Yes.
You can't really travel with guns. So when you fly on the plane, you can't travel with your gun.
So how was you getting busy? What was you doing?
That was his gun.
Oh.
It a whole crazy story. I tell the story on my podcast, MarshaPlate. We talk about it, but the circumstances flipped.
What episode so I can mental?
I don't even remember. I'll send it to you.
We gonna write that down somewhere.
Yes, it just the circumstances, luckily for me, flipped where it switched up. But yeah, you can't travel with.
That's what I'm about to say. Like, how did you?
I always have like some type of it's my person now, but I always have some type of not a gun on me, but some type of like mace or something. I always have something like that. But
I need to
weapon up. Most of my clients are coming to my house.
Okay.
Not now. I'm not an escort now. Not that I'm ashamed of any of that.
No,
but
it's a job.
I'm a whole new person now. It's a whole different circumstance for me now. You know, I've went back to school and I've graduated and I've got a legit job, quote unquote.
So as an activist, what is your top priority?
Oh God, that's a deep question.
You're not the first activist I've asked that to, but for some reason that like throws them off because they always equality for who?
No, it throws me off because our oppression is so intersectional, so our liberation has to be intersectional too.
Boom.
I mean,
no,
it's real. It can't be. I can't narrow it down to one.
Okay.
I think that, gosh, that's a deep question. I can't answer that.
No, that's fine.
There's so many things. I would think that. For me, I think my platform is about giving people agency over their future and their bodies.
That's important.
I think that's really for everyone. Every agency over their futures and their bodies. Mm-hmm. So whatever systems that are in place, policy-wise, because culturally and behaviorally, some of the things we can't change in people. But if we can change the policies, that gives us these obstacles.
Eventually the culture will shift.
So that's my thing, is really to dismantle certain policies and certain things in the system that's built in the system to be able to stop us from being happy, stop us from pursuing things that we want to do, and stop us from self-actualization.
Okay. I appreciate that. I like that answer. That was genuine.
Yeah. I think that for me, it's about agency.
Okay. And as a black trans woman, do you prefer to be called the black trans woman, or do you want to just be called the black woman? Do you want to just be called Miss Diamond?
It really just depends on the circumstances. So if we're talking about women in general, I'm a woman.
Yes.
If I need to be specific and let you know that I'm talking about black trans women, or my black trans label is important for me to make a distinction, I think that it's important for me to make that distinction. I am not one of them trans people that don't feel that cisgender women need to have their own space in certain circumstances. I think that is totally true, and I'm okay with that. I don't need to be in every space. But when we're talking about women in general,
as a whole,
I think
we need to include every
woman.
Yes.
Yeah, of all type. When we talk about something like reproductive justice, like I'm not going to be centered in that space.
Okay.
I can't carry children.
Yes.
And so.
So maybe you would consider yourself in that space an
ally. Exactly. You see what I'm saying? I would be okay with that. I wouldn't feel
like a support
like
system.
somebody. Yeah, I would be because I know that if they're going after the agency over your body, when it comes to these white men making decisions about your body, I know they can. I mean, you see what I'm saying? So I have skin in the game when I'm thinking about agency the government over somebody else's body.
Yes.
So that's important to me. Now, am I going to center myself?
Yeah.
No, because that's for you, and I'm going to support you in whatever way. But I don't need to be in that space. But when we're talking about domestic violence, we all being affected by that.
That is true.
When we're talking about drug addiction, when we're talking about healthcare, something like that, then and it's women based, I'm included in that too. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but it's like, I think I think that's where kind of the confusion happens. People think we want to be in every single space.
Yes.
And there may be some problematic trans women out there that may be like that, but that's not all of us.
Yeah, that's true, and that's fair.
We're not a monolith, yeah.
And so, speaking on the word ally, what can allies? I consider myself an ally to the trans community, to all communities, all positive communities. What can I, as an ally, do differently or more aggressively in my support of the trans community?
What I have experienced that has been such a blessing is that when we're having those general conversations, think of me when you want to add a different flavor to the conversation. Think of me and put me in the space.
Well, that's why we're here.
Hey. Think of me and put me in the space when you want a more nuanced conversation. Why not? If you have 3 cisgender black women, why not add a black trans woman? When you have a space to put me in, to center me when it's important, yes, do that. Put me in that space. If you have resources that you have connected to, connect me to them. If you're thinking about donating to somebody and you have a little bit of extra to what I got going on. It's just those kind of small things, really thinking about who is doing the work. It doesn't necessarily have to be me. It could be another black trans woman, but whoever. It's just the people who have been really great allies to me is who consider when my voice would be a perfect time to come into this conversation.
Yes.
I remember a white trans man was asked to come on a podcast and talk about violence. And that he was like, I'm a white trans man. It's not affecting me like this. You need to have a black trans woman on here.
Yes.
So let me call my friend Diamond, and she can do it. I don't need to do it.
So he stepped aside
and said, this is who you need to talk about, because it's disproportionately affecting black trans women. So let's get a black trans woman. And then when I go on the podcast, I say, hey, let me tell you the truth about black trans women. And then I'm bringing my dark-skinned black trans woman, because if you look at the pictures of the trans women who have been murdered, predominantly all are dark skinned. So I have to say, hey, I've been in violent situations, but we have to make that distinction too. We have to know when to say what the truth is so we can understand.
Yes, because I think clarity and I think understanding is what's missing from a lot of conversations. I think the conversations now, when we're talking about trans, queer, and trying to include them, I think the issue is we want to include the conversations of them, but we don't want to include the conversations with them. And that is the issue, because you can't sit in a room and talk about everything I do and not have me at the table.
Yes.
That's not how that works.
Yes.
And I think that Hollywood, society, and media as a whole has gotten that wrong. And I think, unfortunately, the few people who have gotten it right or have attempted to get it right only want to sit with one trans person, and they want that one trans person to speak for the whole community. And it's like, I can only tell you about Dominique and Dominique's black experience. I can't expect you to tell me about...
and I think, I think sometimes who you have in the space to talk needs to have a more rounded education.
That is
because
true.
There is a certain narrative that I can only tell, but because this is my bag and I've done the research, I've been a part of research read the books and did the education about our particular... I'm not to tell you a story of what happened. I can give you statistics. I can tell you that 1/3 of the homeless youth are LGBT. Do you see what I'm saying? I can tell you that 52% of the trans folks who have been fired from their job was because of sexual harassment.
You have knowledge beyond self.
I have knowledge beyond self, where I can be a little bit more in depth in what I bring to the table instead of just a narrative. Because narrative is kind of anecdotal. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But I can tell you outside of my anecdote. what else is happening in the Black trans community, because that is my expertise. That is what I do. Also making the connection between cis women and Black trans women, because there's a lot of connections there that people don't seem to acknowledge.
And I think that's more so on what we know. It's more so on the cis Black women not wanting to connect with the trans and Black trans women, and I hate that because it's rooted in several things, and all of them are negative and hateful. Whether it be jealousy, envy, or hate, not choosing to understand, it's all rooted, and it just makes me look at my community and go like, y'all for real.
And sometimes you don't have to understand something to respect it.
And that's another, but people don't want to understand it, because 9 times out of 10, if I gave you the time to speak and I did sit, listen, and understand you, I would respect you.
Yeah.
But nobody wants to do that first step because they know what they know what goes up that staircase.
Right, and then we talk about, and even if it's just to care for your own community, when we talk about the connections we have, we out here fucking with the same niggas. We out here being marginalized, abused, getting treated the same way by the same niggas. There are astronomical rates of intimate partner homicide with cis Black women and trans women. Intimate partner homicide. The men that we are dating, the men that we are intimate relationship with, the men that we are in community with are harming us at a higher rate than other demographics. That's something that we might need to come together on. If I'm keeping it...
No! Square. If
I'm saying something wrong, then even if you... So let's talk about body parts. Okay? So even if you you not a woman, you can't have a baby, you don't have a period every day, so you not a woman. Okay, cool. First of all, I want to know why you narrowing womanhood down to body parts, because ain't that what the niggas do?
You just pussy.
That you're just pussy to them? You're just a vagina to them? Only worth you have is that you can procreate and continue their seed and their legacy?
In their name.
In their name? Ain't that patriarchy at work? Ain't that what patriarchy used to say? You are just a body to be used and objectified and fucked and create babies for me and nothing else? You don't do anything else other than what your vagina does?
Yep.
But then you turn around and tell me that I'm not a woman, all because of just that body part stuff that you got going on. That seems kind of weird to me.
It seems kind of oppressive. It
seems weird, but I'm not trying to change nobody's mind. That's on you. But it just seems a little weird that you would flip that body part thing on us. When you the whole feminist movement is about not being just our body parts, right?
I have a brain.
I have other things.
I have talents, and it's like,
you
sure? Cause we have those.
And just it's just kind of weird, because if you take a dude and cut his dick off, he can still live, right? If you take his brain out, he can't live. Like, the brain seemed to be the most important part. And science is on our side to talk about the mix-up. I am not saying that I'm a cisgender woman.
Yes.
I'm not saying that. I am a Black trans woman. That's what I am. There's a distinction there. But we all are women. So, I think making that connection, I don't need you to connect with me on every single thing, but the stuff that we have both skin in the game, when it comes to oppression, when it comes to patriarchy, when it comes to all the things that we are both in this shit together, let's connect on that.
Yeah.
I know how to stand back when it's time for me to stand back. It's just, I think that we can't afford to cancel each other. I'm all for cancel culture. I cancel motherfuckers. If they ain't right, cancel them out. But when it comes
to... It's been 3 years.
All the rest of you niggas, T.I., Kanye, Bill, R. Kelly,
no ignition over here.
Michael Jackson. Honey, look.
Mike, I'm still...
whatever. But, we can decide who to cancel on our own.
Yes,
and so
I like that.
Yeah, everybody ain't canceled. Like, I don't cancel Black women. That's my choice. That's my choice. Now, I know some people like, what? There's a problem. Omarosa? They can be real. Stacey Dash? You get what I'm saying?
But that's because she don't even think she a black woman, so.
You know, I don't cancel black women. I feed them with a long handled spoon. You could be on probation, but I won't cancel you. Anyway.
I don't think I've canceled. I've had beef with Monique, but I don't think I've canceled any black woman.
Yeah, I don't cancel black
I need to up those numbers. I need to find somebody.
I'm like, oh, sis. You got some trauma going on. That's how I am. I'll be like, oh, you know, she's on a trip or something. We ain't gonna, well, you just can't. She like that sister that you don't really fuck with.
But
you see them at Thanksgiving, but you don't really fuck with them like that. You don't come over their house. If you gotta talk to them, you talk to them. But
that's the one we call like this, huh? All right.
Mama sent you. You gonna be in Mama's house? Okay, cool. I'll see you there.
That's what you call by your first name,
yeah.
Keisha.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. So she just the cousin. You don't fuck with all that kind of stuff. The bougie cousin or the ghetto cousin or whatever one. You know you want to marginalize today.
It's the mood switches. Sometimes I want to be bougie too.
You know, sometimes you bougie and sometimes you hood, whatever. So you know, I don't cancel black women, and I feel one of the reasons why is because I think we got too many things in common that we need to dismantle together in order for it to work, in order for it to... We just don't have enough people out here. We got too many people against us. And we come from the same, same thing.
Yeah. All right, y'all. So y'all can find Miss Diamond at Marsha... I don't want to butcher it.
So the podcast is MarshaPlate. You can find me under Diamond Stylz anywhere. So any platform that you use, Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, is Diamond, spelled the regular way. DIAMOND STYLZ as in zebra. Diamond Stylz.
That's jazzy.
Yeah. So yeah.
No, that's not bad.
No, I love it. I'm a jazzy bitch.
And you can find me everywhere at Dom V Harris. That's DOMVHARRIS. It was lovely talking to you, Miss Diamond.
Thank you for having me.
About to have a ride home and talk some more. But thank y'all for watching. Hopefully y'all like, subscribe, and whatever else you do on YouTube. And I will see you for the next episode.